Ocala's information station, 1370 WOCA.
Ocala. Damage control, damage control, damage control, damage control, damage control, damage control, damage control.
Yeah, it must be time for damage control. I hear that music already. 25 minutes before 11 o'clock, Joe Reichel is in the studio, and Mike Sobieski is joining Joe today. And remember, the phone lines are open during the course of this show, and your calls are invited. It's an important part of this show, as a matter of fact, and I enjoy listening. Once in a while, I get a tip or two just from listening to what you guys are talking about. The phone number is the WOCA Climate Control Source Hotline, 622-9622-622-WOCA. Joe Reichel and Mike Sobieski. Good morning, guys. How you doing?
Good morning. Doing good.
Yep, good morning.
Good to see you, Mike. Haven't seen you in a while.
Yeah, it's been a little while.
I know you helped build this whole place. Does it feel good when you walk into a place you built?
It is. It's nice. It's nice to look at everything and see it all done, and glad that I don't have to come back and do the work
well, we're proud of it. It's like when you build something, we take pride in it, even though we had nothing to do. We just walked in.
Well, that's the good part.
I often think that, when you see like this ribbon cutting, like this big buildings in New York, and you got, 1,000 guys worked on it, and then standing in the front taking the credit, a couple of guys in suits. Like, hello.
Mike's the guy in the suit.
Yeah. Are you the guy in the suit?
No, I don't wear suits too much here to work.
Not to work.
So
Mike is the general contractor of our crew. So he's the one who is in charge of making sure that all the jobs are completed and done as per building codes, and lining up and working directly with the subcontractors to make sure all the work gets done.
Seems like we get a lot of do-it-yourself questions on the show. Have you noticed that?
Sometimes.
People doing jobs and they think, well, I'm not going to call those guys. I just need a little tip here and there.
Right.
So do you get that in your normal lives all the time, aside from the show? Just people, you're at a party and somebody says, hey, by the way, my bathtub's leaking. What can I do?
Yeah. What is it called?
Job hazard?
Yeah, it's just one of those things. You just got to... I don't mind doing it. It's something, just part of it. You have the knowledge and helping people out, getting through some things that they're going to do themselves. It's that's no problem. It's it's just years in the business, and people know that if they can count on you, they view you as a trusted advisor. That's a good spot to be in, I guess. So take it as a compliment.
Right.
It's a very good spot, because we know that there are the jobs that are going to come along that they're not going to be able to handle by themselves, or and they will get us to take care of it or help them with it.
So if a floor is not completely flat and you have tile on it and it's cracking, is linoleum the best solution? Just get rid of the tile and put linoleum, because linoleum seems to bend better or something.
It does have more, elasticity, forgiveness in it, but it just depends on the type of floor you want. If there's a crack, it depends on what's causing it. You got to look at the reasons for why that's happening. But there are different techniques you can use to put, tile over a crack again. Again, you just got to look at the underlying issues of the house. But a lot of times, homeowners just don't want linoleum. They want a specific item, and you've got to come up with a solution to give them their product, but it still has to be quality and last. So
right.
So the sometimes the underfloor, the underlayment, whatever's underneath that first, the layer that you see is what's important, and that's where sometimes we need to fix that.
Oh, okay.
So it really depends. But the reason that I wanted to bring Mike on the show today, he is part of our company that. One of the things that we do, and I've talked about it before, is infection and disease control, as far as helping to alleviate the spread of infections and nasty diseases. So maybe I'll turn it over to you, Mike, and let you explain it a little better than I just did.
Okay, well, it's a pretty awesome product and a service that we're now getting into. Like I think we've mentioned it before. Something that's been going on, or this product has been out, pretty much through the country, but we're providing it now here locally through our company. But it's an infection control system which we put in place with all types of different. It can pretty much be in any environment, because obviously there's germs, there's viruses, anywhere you go, really. But it's called a halo fogging system. So it's a hydrogen peroxide fogging system, which you implement in a room. Typically, the market or the demographic area a lot of times is used for like hospitals, critical environments.
Right.
Whether it's healthcare, child daycare areas, places where there's a lot of people, a lot of traffic, a lot of cross contamination, things like that. And we put a system in that kills 99.9%. Of all known viruses, bacterias, molds, known to man. So everything out there would pretty much be eradicated, and you're left with a clean environment. So, we see a growing need of this just because always on the news you're hearing about, different strains of these different, flus, viruses, H1N1, the new ones that are coming out as they evolve, which they're having trouble keeping up with it, with the medicine or the vaccines. But this here, there's no residual effect as far as they can't become immune to the hydrogen peroxide fogging system. So it's a kill. So they can't adapt to it. No virus,
really? That's good.
Which is a really nice feature because if they start adapting to everything, then they're going to run out of control and you can't.
Then what are we going to do?
You're going to have a major problem. So
what are some of the places that this could be used in? Could you use it in? And I know the answer to this. I'm just kind of leading you on. Like the home environment.
Yes, it can be used really anywhere in any facet. But some of the main ones that we focus on, obviously, is within doctors' offices, critical, whether it's emergency rooms, outpatient, surgical rooms. Schools and universities are big too because of locker rooms. We always hear of MRSA, people catching MRSA in the locker rooms, different athletes. We just heard about down in Tampa, Florida, with the Buccaneers just had the big MRSA outbreak last year. The workplace, a lot of times you've got a lot of traffic coming through the workplace. Some during certain times of the year, you get heavy people rotating, being sick all the time, whether it's a cold or flu. And different offices want to put this in times of the year so that they can keep their employees healthy. Right. Assisted care facilities, the health care, as far as the elderly ones, that's a big area because they're so easily susceptible to different types of viruses and diseases and things like that. So it's very important there. Like I say, gyms, daycares, and even in the equine industry.
I would imagine,
yeah, because they're very particular about their horses and the health of the horses. So any facilities that do surgical repair or anything on horses is very important for there too.
So it's I have so many questions already. The device itself that puts out the fog, is that something that we buy, or you just bring it to our house, treat it, and then take the device with you?
Correct. Yeah, we it's a device that we have, and we're partnered with a company called Sanasil and MedEffect, which we have the device and we provide the service. We would bring it to the house. We would come and decontaminate any area that you thought was a problem, or if you want us to do an evaluation on your property or your business, we'll come in and do that and give some suggestions. But we will do the service. We'll come in and we can be out of there in less than a couple hours, depending on the size of the room or if the whole building, and then you now have a clean environment to go back into.
Oh wow!
So there's it gives no residue, no residual, leftover byproduct. It completely dissipates.
So it kills virus and bacteria, or just virus?
Yes, everything. Yep.
So does that mean it smells better when you're done?
Well, of course, because it does have odor. It does kill different odors because it's part of it. Different microorganisms produce odors. So when it kills those, it's going to eliminate odors as well. So it's a very neat and very, I guess, high tech, but a very simple solution to be able to take care of viruses and any kind of contaminant that may be in your home.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, or business.
And it's safe.
Yes.
I mean, that's the part that I thought was kind of neat. It kills all this stuff, but at the same time, it's a safe product.
Sure.
So you're not having to be out of your home or out of the area for an extended period of time. It's a rather limited amount of time that you have to be out of the room, and then it's safe to go right back in.
And
and then it's clean.
And am I right in saying, just tell me if I'm not, if I actually walked into it by chance, it wouldn't hurt me, right? Because I can gargle with hydrogen peroxide.
Yeah, well, there's a certain detection level which we go by as far as how much, is really, by the EPA sets the standards of how much you're allowed to be around. So it's a high concentration with the fog. It's a high concentration. It's not going to kill you. It's not going to do anything like that. But it would be an irritant, like your eyes. It would be, probably make your eyes water, make you feel uncomfortable. But it's not going to do harm or damage to you, if you're in there. Because we go in and we'll pull the machines out, when we get done fogging. Right. So the residual is still in there. So, I mean, it can be, but you just, we'll put, proper protective gear on to go in there. But it's not something that's going to be, it's not a chemical. It's not something that's going to kill you or anything like that.
So is it a more potent hydrogen peroxide than what I would buy, for example, at the pharmacy to gargle with or clean my counters or whatever?
Well, it's a completely different solution than what you'd buy, because this is meant to be a fogged, and it's very precise in its effectiveness as far as killing the different viruses, because as you see but it breaks down the outer shell of any bacteria or virus and actually kills the inside, so it's completely eliminated.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
And it's called Sanosil? That's the company?
Yeah, that's the solution, the company of the solution, and who makes the hydrogen fogger, the Halo fogger, which is what we use to provide the service.
So you know who needs this? The cruises.
Yeah.
Right? You hear about these people go on these big boats and they all get sick.
Yeah, that's a huge... The norovirus is obviously one of the fastest spreading virus that's out there, and that's typically what happens in the cruises. But yeah, that would be an extremely large operation to clean those ships.
Okay, but just using that as a way to understand that you could eliminate that if they would use this in those ships.
Correct.
So you say, okay, well, I'm not worried about a ship, but I'm worried about my child's bedroom or the whole house or something, and this would be the way to prevent that. Especially if you have kids spending the night, they're coughing. Oh man, I mean, do you get calls like that where they say a person will say, "Can you come over? I had some kids over last night."
Well, right now we're really just introducing it. We're kind of in the starting phases of this. We're getting the groundwork going. So we're not really at the point of doing. I mean, we can go ahead and start. We're ready to go with complete service. So we haven't got any of the working on those calls. We're kind of focusing on certain areas.
We have had, as Mike mentioned earlier, interest shown as far as for offices and things like that. So
makes sense.
Where there's continual rotation of people being sick.
And you guys have a phone call. Are you ready for phone calls? And let me just invite everybody. If I have a question for Mike or Joe, the number is 622-9622-622-WOCA. That is the WOCA Climate Control Source Hotline here on Damage Control. Good morning. You're on the air with Mike and Joe.
Good morning, Mike, Joe.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Calling. What was the name of that company you mentioned again? I didn't quite catch that. With the product that you're thinking about in...
It's the company is Sanosil, and that's the hydrogen fogging solution which we've provided in for our fogging machine, and we're partners with a company called MedEffect, which we're working with to bring this technology to the Marion County and Central Florida area where we are providing it.
All right. The next question I have is I have a system installed. I thought it was a UV light, but it's not. It's some kind of a generator, and I don't know if that's similar to that or what you're describing, but it was installed into the air duct system just past the air handler. And I don't know if I could find the paperwork and everything else, I could tell you exactly what it is, but I thought, like I said, I thought it was a UV light type of thing, and then when I read the whole thing, it's actually some kind of a generator. And I was just wondering if that's anything you guys might know about.
There are several different things that products like that people use in their different people use in air conditionings and in the system like that to help to alleviate or lessen the effects of contaminants in the air, but this is not one of those.
Oh.
Yeah.
I was just, that's what I was trying to find out for sure. But right now, as I'm talking to you, I'm climbing up on the dopey hair handler here to find
Just
out
be
what's
careful.
going on here. What's the name of this thing?
Yeah, be careful not to fall.
No, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is something, whenever this machine's set up, it creates a fog in the entire room, and then on all porous what's the word?
Surfaces?
Porous surfaces will kill and completely disinfect any type of bacteria on those areas.
Right. No, it doesn't say nothing. I just looked. And it's just something environmental. I couldn't quite read the whole thing, but...
Yeah.
Yeah, typically the UV lights, they will kill anything that comes in direct contact with the light itself. So it's got to pass directly by the light in order for it to kill it. The fogging system, that's why we kind of chose to go that route, because it gets in everywhere in the room, all the nooks and crannies, under the tables, on the chairs, in the keyboards, on your computers. So when people are touching the keyboards or the door handles, everything, it does it all in one shot, and you don't have to worry about manually wiping it. Yeah.
Right. And what is the residual effects of this, or are there any, or it has to be done repeatedly?
There are no byproduct as far as when the fogging is done. There's nothing left over. It's a hydrogen in a water solution with a silver catalyst. So everything is completely dissipated. There's no residue like on the windows or anything like that, and you won't see anything. So there's no chemical byproduct. But obviously
the residual effects of the process.
Well, once it's clean, obviously it's completely, sanitized and, free from any, bacteria or viruses. But, obviously if somebody comes in with, something and brings something back into the room, it can be recontaminated again. So we always recommend, some type of a scheduled, maintenance to continually do it if you've got a serious problem in your area. If you're just sick one time and you come home from the hospital and you want to make sure you don't have anything in the home that's going to infect you. Right. You want to do it one time, that's fine. But if you're in a place where there's a lot of cross-contamination, it's good to do it, multiple times and have like an annual cleaning done.
Right. I just was super curious about this because I've had a lot of friends who were very health conscious, and for some reason all of a sudden they wind up with this COPD, and believe it or not, had two of them pass away from it. So, and when you know their history, you say to yourself, how can these people get this kind of an illness? And they won't tell you whether it's what kind of infection it is, or whether it's pneumonia or TB or whatever. It's COPD. That's unless this is something new, another disease they don't really have a name for yet, never mind a cure. But anyway, thank you very much for the information, and thank you, WOCA. Thanks again, guys.
All right, thank you.
Thanks for the call.
And if you have a call, and we had a caller who bailed out, so if you want to call now, that's a good time, 622-9622. And it looks like a call's coming in. Good morning. You're on the air with Joe and Mike.
Good morning, Larry. Good morning, Joe. And good morning, Mike. This is June, and I just have a question for you in general. You know how when you spray your countertops off and so on with a Lysol solution or, say, a Clorox, would you recommend using peroxide instead, and would you just use that directly from the bottle and spray it on the surfaces? Or do you not recommend me doing that or anyone? And I'll hang up and listen to your call, and thanks for your show.
Okay. Well, here's the thing, about, the different products like Lysol and the different cleaners and things like that. Obviously, if you look at the back of them, all of them say, minimum of 10 minutes, it has to sit there before you can wipe it. Typically, nobody waits 10 minutes before they wipe their countertops or anything. They'll spray it on and start wiping it. So if there is something on there, you're really just pushing whatever's on there.
I never knew that 10-minute rule.
Yeah, if you look at the back, it says 10 minutes, needs to sit there in order to kill whatever's on there. So That's why they say manual cleaning really only kills around 50% of whatever biological is in the room or on the countertop if you manually clean it. Now, if you let it sit there and for 10 minutes or so, the same thing with peroxide. We don't use just straight peroxide in our fogging system, so the purposes of peroxide are generally what's stated on the label would be used for. But some people do use peroxide for cleaning. But all of them are going to say, they need to sit there for 10 minutes in order to get that effective 99 point whatever they state on their bottle. So you need to think about that when you're cleaning. That's why that's why we kind of went with the fogging as opposed to manual cleaning, because it does almost 100% of clean as opposed to 50% if you do manual cleaning on things. So whatever product you're using, just look at the label and see what what it says to do and how to use it. Just that way you know that you're getting clean whatever you're trying to clean. So you just got to be careful with that.
And would it kill mold also?
Yes.
Oh, it would? Mm-hmm. Oh, wow.
Yeah, we actually use it. That's what we started it with, was using it in our mold remediation, because some protocols call for us to do a fog of different types to kill the mold in the air, and then you do the clean afterwards. So we got this system to basically kill everything, and then we can do the standard remediation and cleaning, and then we know we're completely done.
All right, and this is maybe not a left field question, but are the germs that are being killed, the viruses, the bacteria, are they airborne, or are they typically transmitted by touching? Do you know what I mean? Let's say if my mother lived in a nursing home and I wanted her room treated, but I can't afford to pay for the whole facility, would she still be at risk because they'll open the door and it'll come back in, or does it have to be transmitted by somebody actually touching the faucet and the other things?
That really depends on what you're treating for, because some types of diseases are transferred person to person by touching. Some are airborne diseases, so it really depends.
Yeah, I mean, just all the characteristic of what what they could catch. Some bacteria or viruses can lay dormant, for months, without having any kind of host or infecting somebody. And others, they need to have a direct pretty quick transmission before they can pick up on another host, or some are airborne, some are touched. So that's why that's why we chose the fogging system again, because it covers everything. You're not just wiping the surfaces and then you walk into a room where something's airborne and then you get the infection that way. So it covers all the bases.
So does the fog stay in the room at least 10 minutes?
Oh yeah. Yeah, we go in there, and it depends on the size of the room, the cubic feet. We set the timer. It does the spray, the fogging in there, and then we have a certain amount of time before you can reoccupy the room to make sure that there's no disturbance of the air, that everything gets in all the areas. So it stays in there generally. 90 minutes is a rule of thumb, depending on the size of the room.
Wow. And can we ask price, or is it something that I'm sure it varies greatly from place to place, but is there a way for us to calculate about how much it will cost? Yeah,
it definitely does vary depending on the type of structure, how much cubic feet are in the room, what are you treating? Is there something that is already in there? Are you going in to treat? Like if MRSA is already in there, it's identified. That's obviously you're going into an infected area.
Yeah, right.
Are you just doing maintenance, which is obviously cheaper if you have the monthly maintenance? That's just go there and keep yourself protected that way. But generally, I mean, it varies quite a bit, but really a base at the best rate. If you're doing a large facility, that's just as preventative maintenance. I mean, you could be 8 cents a cubic foot.
Oh wow.
Up to 12 cents a cubic foot for kind of starting out, and then it kind of, depending on the severity, could go up from there as high as, on an emergency basis, could be up to 45 cents a cubic foot. So there's a pretty big range.
Right.
It could be a number of things.
Oh wow.
So I don't know if that helps you out much at all.
It's that's great. That's a good help.
It's kind of each one is you've got to go look at the situation and then make your evaluation on it. So
they call you the same number that we give every week, same number, and somebody could arrange for you guys to come out and treat the house, or the
Sure.
or the facility. I mean, you have everybody listening, so
Or answer more questions.
yeah.
Whatever they would need.
And wow, what is the number? I'm looking at the clock. I couldn't believe it. Okay.
My phone number is 352-817-6574, joe@damageflorida.com. And Mike?
I am at 817-8932, and it's mike@damageflorida.com.
All right, and if you have any questions, call that same number. If you have any questions about the number, call us here at the radio station. We'll be glad to repeat the phone number for you. Or and you guys have a website. And what's the site?
Our website is damageflorida.com.
All right. Well, thank you, guys. Thank you, Joe.
I had to think about that.
Thank you, Mike.
Yep, thank you.
Good to see
Have
you.
a great day.
We'll take a little break and be right back.
Yeah, take care.
Damage control, damage control, damage control, damage control.
Ocala's information station, 1370 WOCA.
Ocala.
ABC